Hello everyone, and welcome to Noodle Journey, your destination for detailed and informative reviews of the instant noodle universe. And in this review, I am dipping my toes back into the world of black bean sauce, with a couple twists. This is an interesting and apparently pretty popular product from Nongshim called Zha Wang. Before we get started, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these reviews. So here we have another Nongshim jjajangmyeon, or black bean sauce noodle product. But this is different from Nongshim's Chapaghetti, which was the first black bean product I had ever eaten way back in the early days of the channel. I've since learned that even though I liked Chapaghetti then, and I still do well enough, it's nowhere near as good as other black bean products like Paldo's jjajangmyeon or Samyang's hot pepper jjajang. I've learned that there's all kinds of variations on the black bean sauce formula. So you may be asking, how is this one any different? Well, there's a couple of major differences. Here with Zha Wang, you get the promise of an oyster-flavored sauce as an enhancement, along with one other cool surprise that I'll show you when I open the package if you haven't spotted it already. It seems like this should be a slam dunk as far as flavor combinations go. I love the taste of oyster sauce, and I feel the mild earthiness of black bean sauce could only benefit from the addition of something sweet and salty like oyster sauce. One more thing that's pretty neat about this is that Nongshim's website has a recipe that combines these with shin noodles into a dish called shin Zha Wang. So that is something I'm eager to try someday. If you want to score these Zha Wang noodles for yourself, a 4-pack of these should be priced about the same as other Nongshim 4-packs and should be available at your local Asian grocery store as well as various Asian food websites plus Amazon. So right now that's in about the $7 to $10 range for a 4-pack. The sodium for this is a pretty reasonable 1,380 milligrams or 60% of your daily allowance. Not bad for instant noodles. All right, inside the pack we've got a round block of noodles, a sauce mix, a liquid pouch, and flakes. So here's the other surprise I was mentioning earlier. Check out these noodles. It doesn't really indicate it on the package, and you may miss it if you only glance at the photo, but these are textured noodles. They're ridged, kind of like a rigate pasta, if that's an appropriate analogy. That ridged texture is added to get more sauce to stick to them, and of course to enhance the mouthfeel of the noodles. So that's really cool. As for the sauce ingredients, the oyster sauce does have oyster extract in it, despite being labeled oyster flavored. Usually adding the word flavored implies an artificial flavoring was used, but no, this is actual oyster sauce. The powdered mix also contains beef extract and shrimp, in addition to your usual black bean flavorings like onion and bean paste. There's also powdered red chili pepper, so this will probably have at least a little spice to it. And then in the flake packet, we have dried onion, cabbage, and soy protein to mimic beef texture. Time to go cook. All right, and here we go. I'm going to admit I was a little worried that the sauce base was in powdered form, and especially because it calls for 300 milliliters of water to boil and combine everything, but that water got sucked up and turned into this really luxuriously thick black bean sauce. So from a visual perspective, I'm really happy with the way this came out. As for the aroma, sweet onions, more or less. Kind of the same aroma I expect from other jjajangmyeon. I don't really smell the oyster sauce that much, which is probably a good thing because oyster sauce by itself, not cooked with anything, it's got a very strong aroma and flavor. All right, I'm excited to try this. I'm going in. All right, wow. The texture of these noodles is terrific. I haven't seen these in any other Nongshim products, so maybe that's why these sometimes seem to be harder to find. I imagine the manufacturing process for these differs from Nongshim's other noodles, but the ridge texture feels great. The noodles are nice and thick, and the sauce, as you can see, sticks to them perfectly. They have the same great chewiness that you'd expect from a Nongshim noodle. The closest thing I could compare them to would be the flatter noodles that Samyang uses in some of their bulldog varieties like carbonara. But yeah, these are a 10 out of 10 noodle experience. Fantastic. And now the spiciness. Despite the fact that there's chili pepper in here, there's really not a lot to worry about with the heat level. I'm honestly not tasting it. I don't feel any kind of appreciable burn, no tingle. Yes, I'm very spice tolerant at this point, but I really objectively don't think it's very noticeable. So I'm going to give this a cautious 1 out of 10 on the spiciness scale, but I really don't think anyone's going to have a problem with the chili pepper in this. And now we get to the flavor and the overall presentation of this recipe. First off, the consistency and the richness of this sauce is awesome. Nice and thick and hearty, exactly what I want this to be. Not watery. Nongshim's instructions were spot on for how to make this into a proper sauce without it being watery, which is a complaint I see with chapaghetti a lot. Some people leave the sauce too watery, it doesn't taste very good, it kind of mutes the flavors. Speaking of flavors, the flavor of this almost reminds me of a somewhat earthier Japanese teriyaki sauce. It's got that same kind of sweet umami vibe to it, and then a good punch of sweetness from onions. And then on the back end, that oyster sauce providing a briny, indistinct seafood umami, just the way you want it to. It's not overpoweringly oyster flavored or seafood flavored at all. It's just all coming together to make an earthy, sweet, salty umami sauce. Really great. I should mention the flakes because they're also excellent. There's a ton, and you can see one is stuck to my chopsticks right now. There's a ton of these little bits of onion in here, as well as cabbage. They have a nice crunch to them. These little pieces of soy protein are actually kind of crispy and fibrous, almost like they were a pan-fried little chunk of beef. They're excellent. Great contrasting texture to the rest of this bowl of noodles. So all in all, we've got these dynamite-ridged noodles, a thick and flavorful sauce, and a really impressive flake packet. And the only reason I'm not going to give this a perfect 10 is because I think Paldo's jjajangmyeon is still just a little bit better from a consistency, flavor, and vegetable profile. But if you don't have access to that, or if you want to try something new, this is great. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. You know, it's funny, the more jjajang products I review, the more I realize that pretty much everything is better than chapaghetti, which really is no slouch in its own right, but this is better. It's another really nice spin on black bean sauce. The oyster sauce adds a really welcome depth of flavor, and between the flakes and the thick noodles, this eats like a complete, satisfying meal. If you were disappointed in chapaghetti or other jjajang noodles in the past, this might change your mind. If you're already a jjajang fan but haven't tried these yet, do yourself a favor, give these a whirl. So with that said, I've got 3 more packs of this stuff, so I think I'm going to try that Zha Wang hack for an upcoming video. There doesn't really appear to be anyone else that I can find that's actually filmed it, so I'm happy to get it on the record and see if it's a worthwhile noodle hack. Until then, if you feel like binging, please check out my other content, and hopefully I'll see you on another episode of Noodle Journey.